Oh, jeez. Oh, crap. Oh, that. Ah. There we go. Hello? Anyone's here yet? I think it's nice and quiet. That's okay. Goodbye. I can hang out in my pretty little cave. It's totally fine. Bam. Still got to figure out how to make that crossfade. I know there's a way. There's a way. How's everybody doing? That's a question you can answer even if you're watching the VOD. Just screaming at the screen. That's fine with me. I have started the bingo. Is the bingo updated? I don't know. Sorry if you get the phase one. I don't know if we'll even see him today. Or for a while. It's a mystery. Okay. I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I think we saved after like an hour cutscene, so maybe I'll just get to walk around for a little bit without a million things happening. That would be pretty okay right now. I don't think I've even looked to set up our new guy. Good Arumat here. So, there we go. Only took us 40 hours to get our actual last party member. I think it's our last one. I don't think we're missing anybody now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. Our order is weird. Let's give new guy a chance. He's only 45. That makes me feel real bad about how I'm actually doing. Okay. Ooh. Hi, Solar. Who's she come with? Eldarian Scythe. Eldarian Battle Arm. Silver Arm Amulet? Amulet. Good do. Nullifies damage from undead. Okay. Immunity to pumpkin status, because that's come up so much. Immunity to poison seems really good right now, actually, given all the bugs and shit around. Oh, the chat. Thank you. I think I also set it so that after 2 minutes, those will disappear. So if no one talks for an hour, it's just not really embarrassing. But also, it should be fine if they... whatever. I used to have them on a tilt. It was very cool, but the tilt broke. So... I'm a little upset that the tilt broke. I love the tilt. If I get rid of the animation where it slides in, I can have the tilt back. Like, it's on a... what do you call it? I could try skewing it, but I don't know, whatever. Defense plus 10. That's fine. It was using like a 3D rotation on an axis thing. It was kind of cool. Let's try the new guy. We'll try the new guy. Give him a test run on something that's not a bee, because bees are always just the worst. You don't want your dry run to be against the bee for anyone that doesn't have ranged. It's just... oh, this will work. Hi, you're kind of gross. Come here. I have depth perception. Alright, we got a big dump side. I think I did the Spire. Okay. There we go. And Pink Gem.
Amateurs throwing their lives away for nothing.
Good start. 2 battle trophies and a pink gem. I don't remember if I put battle trophies on the thing. Let's look. And yours, bitch cheered. Bingo. Cat interruption. They're rambling. I'm pretty sure I did that for a little bit already. That kind of unprompted sing song, baby? Shit. Alright. What do we got? I'm not even. There we go. Bonus board broken. Pink gem. Bam. Real boosted bunny spot. I'm trying to see if I added battle trophies. I don't remember. I did not, I don't think. Okay. Okay. They're inconsistent, but so's a lot of them. So, part of it's the Star Ocean bingo take the whole stream and not just like 3 rounds like Phasma. A game I'm definitely not mad at. Lightly built big tree. Okay, this is a suspicious hole. This hole is nothing. I'm disappointed. I really thought I might have found something. They have the hidden... There must be a way to detect them later, and I just don't know it yet. This is something I need to do before I forget. Skills. Battle configuration. Arumat. Unholy Maelstrom. Generate. Okay, so... I would like... Earthwave, Stone Rain over here. Unholy Maelstrom over here, because that's just how I seem to think and function. Call up a Pillar of Fire. Ooh! That's fun. What if I switched those? Yeah. I mean, I could also do the Nether Strike and launch you into the air, and then I could do Stone Rain. I don't have a follow-up for it. What do you got over here? You got First Aid. Stun is good. We like stun in this house. Okay. 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 Skill boost. What do we got? I haven't done any of this yet. That's Party SP. Skill boosted, by the way. That's on there, I think. We gotta be doing some stuff in here. Let's see. Where are you? New skill learn, not right now. Beat well, skill boosted. Oops. Might as well do that. Get some treats. Get your chain combos up. Okay, I want... He's level 6 on all these, right? Get his goodies up. Okay, he's using stun. Got a stun. I don't really use Pride a lot. Convert is limited in use. Special art, symbols. These are always useful. He has so many points. Max out chain combos. Screw it. Okay. Sick. He now has more slots and stuff. I can do all kinds of weird crap with him. Make his spells better. He's replacing phase. Make these better. Crank up this one. I see myself using it a lot. That works. Now, he should have... Oh, but he has no points left. He needs points. Oh, no, he doesn't have any points, guys. He doesn't have any points. Nether Strike only costs 2. I could get rid of First Aid. I don't really use First Aid much. And then I could do... yeah, okay. Evil. Come here. Let's see what this does. This ought to be good. Hi, bird. We can take him. In a fight, right, Ed? Oh, good start. Yeah, I wanted you to go kick a bee. Kick the bee. Boy, he's hard to miss with. I'm happy about that. See, that guy's raging, so we're just gonna do this.
Now in revolt.
It's not like I was holding back, but is this all they've got?
Unintentional innuendo works. S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S S. That's why birds say S S S S S S. Unintentional innuendo. There it is. We can take him. It's not my own fault, probably. Ooh, do I even have a ring for this? I don't. I would have to go to space to get that. And I'm just greedy enough to think about it.
Oh,
What?
Anne Hathaway just bought the rights to a novel about a trad like I have to actually live the life she's selling online.
Oh, I'm excited for that immediately. That's good. Oh, I got an evil little smile out of that one. Dang. Could have said hiss, but that would also be a cat. Okay, but have you considered me love cat? EM cat person. EM otter cat.
Please step back.
Please step back. Magical clay! One does. Oh, there's all kinds of crap over here, actually. See Sparkle way down there? Hello? What the lamp? Oh no. I hit a button and have disabled running. There we go. Excuse me for a second. I'm gonna do this.
Please step back.
Here's the thing. I don't really want to get in every single fight in the world right now because I did that already a lot. What is this hole? This is a nothing hole. Sus. But okay. Don't like it when there's a hole that makes no sense. Holes should exist for hole reasons. Otherwise, they're just a chasm.
Take advantage of their incompetence.
What?
Unholy maelstrom.
Oh shit. Okay, Scythe Fishy's pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Kinda like Scythe Fishy. Having a fun time with Scythe Fishy. He just kinda smacks shit and it dies. I ain't got a beef with that. That's pretty nice. Oh boy. Okay. Eos loves having a funky layout, man. Alright. Another thing? No. I'm seeing shit. I see shit. I see it with my eyes. I keep hoping I'll find secret harvest points. Get it. Let's go. This one's red.
Come on, now's our chance.
Your defense is
Unholy maelstrom.
It's so fucking fun. Okay. Smack him in the ear!
I was just getting a little drunk. Bring him on.
Oh, I left. That's playing inside. Okay. That's way up here. Sarah LOS. Done. Remember, if something happens and I miss it, call me out on it. I'll try to hit the bouton. I want you being robbed of your bingos now. I'm unable to carry your big berries. They're just too big. I can't even. Okay. Yeah, throw out a big berry and a blackberry, and we'll just go from there, I guess. Bon. They were just too big. I can only hold so many at a time.
Please step back.
Maybe you've got little hands. Wow, that makes me sad. Love obtaining items. I am a treats liker. Give me treats. Okay. Apparently, I'm also carrying too many glow sticks. This concert is off the chain. Here's fog status. Sure. When I can't see in the fog outside, I simply crack open a glow stick, and that fixes everything. Puddle. Because over here is one more box. Hopefully we can open this one without having to go to space. I think somewhere in our party of multiple mages, someone will be able to recharge a ring, but that's asking too much. You got... That is so close to being like boobs full. Okay. Guess all the points recharge. I mean, it was a full game reset, so yeah. Up is fine. You missed. You missed. Come here. I gotta fight a little bit. I gotta get my beat up. Die, 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 die! Die! What? Edge, you negated my kill him with only skills thing.
I was
Little
just getting
twink.
warmed up. Bring 'em on.
Give me this. Give me this. Give me this push. Okay. I'll mark that in a second.
Show me some
I mean, yeah, I should just kill them. We're to the point where not getting the pink is hard and getting anything else is also kind of hard.
Talk about on show.
So I really specialize for that fucking fight, man.
Death himself has nothing to fear.
Death itself has nothing to fear. Okay, Edge Lord. Beat level increased. Sarah versus Collision Boxes, where are you at? Yeah, that's my mortal foe. Give me that.
We can use this.
Wow. The insult to injury really hurts my soul. I'm not gonna lie. Fuck bees. Kill this stuff. I'm toxic. I'm immune. Oh no, bees.
Come on, let's do this.
Yeah, get them all. Get them all. Yellow. Double yellow. Yeah.
It's not like I was holding back, but
Finally.
I got to.
Someone I can murder everything with. Okay. Yellow. Done. There we go.
I feel like I'm walking on air.
And I level up after combat. Look at that. Imposter Sarah. Congrats on being our first level up of the night. Give me
We
this.
can use this.
Hey, there you go. You actually got something. No mean buzzer this time. Whew. Try it. Die. It's comically easy. Come die.
Your defense is very
You should
good.
chill so I can try to get a XP one. Okay. Yeah. No crits in that? Wow. Alright.
I was just getting warmed up. Bring
I'm
'em
gonna
on.
get a blue one just to get it. Come on. Look at all that money. Delicious money. Turtles. Turtles have... Oh, I know where I am. Okay, so over here is a one-way, but we don't want the one-way unless we really do want to go to space just for that chest right now. We can do this. Okay, whatever's in here. Generation symbol. That sounds promising. Okay. And we'll kill this ant because he really wants a hug. And boy, do I have the hug of the century for him. Alright, dude, come do it. Oh no, he got paralyzed. Well,
That was easier than trying to fly.
those things are for me. Okay. Those are supposed to disappear after a few minutes. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe the chat's eternal now. Maybe I broke it. I don't know. Okay. There we go. I must not have done it right. Or I'm not using the Streamlabs one because I'm using... I don't know what I'm using. It might be just Twitch's built-in
Please step
that
back.
thing. Man. Why would you do that to me? You're mean to my face. I gotta fix my cave timer, man. I keep forgetting to make it so I can do a 10-minute one. 10 minutes, right? It's a 10 or... Okay. It's 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Oh, I hated myself. Okay.
I think.
Whatever. I'll take your word for it. No dashing for a prolonged amount of time. You got it, baby. Healing point is...
Ban and mandate an in-game action either for the next 5 minutes or as a rule for the next round. 5 minutes doesn't seem fair for 1,000 points.
Depends on the action
Through the fences and lights.
and what you're playing. Like I put that in mind for... I'm in the house in Phasmo and someone bans leaving the house. So,
I wouldn't have spent the full...
fine, it's 15. Is that
Throwing
better?
their lives away for nothing.
Good grief. 15 minutes, no dashing. She doesn't like my dashing. She doesn't think I'm rather dashing.
Take advantage of their
Yo, you shot me in the face. I would like to target the guy who shot me in the face. Alright, I guess not.
I would think
Who? I think there's just a chance of kicking based on your inputs. I just never figure out what actually does it.
Is this all they've got?
There's a lot of like battle trophies beat guys with only leg-based attacks for various characters and shit. Alright. That's a weird musical fade. Alright, what's in here? Oh! This is evoking some sort of recollection in me that I don't like. Do not put a boss before the save point, I'll kill you. Mr. Rarobat, is this the correct cave? Yes, the Grigori is within, I'm sure of it. I don't remember how he sounds. I can do Edge though. Not satisfied with calling out in the mirrors, huh? Sorry. Calm down, boy. Boy! Edge called anything but his name, there you go. It doesn't take long.
you need to mock the characters with the cast.
You have the ability to
I'm doing it.
you know, I think it's beyond Cassie mentioned if Cassie's just in the room. Edge call anything but his name is one. Yeah. This might count as dungeon crawling. We'll keep an eye on that. You'll never make it through the end if you let yourself get all worked up like that. She's got to be doing that on purpose. And you have to keep a good grip on his reins, you know. Marriage won't last without commitment, after all. Oh, we're making fun of Raimi. Tigo recovered quickly. I won't deny getting a kick out of teasing children. I mean, it is fun to make fun of kids. Not even that much older than us. When it comes to life experience, boy, I could be your mother. Oh, she wants to be called mommy. This idiocy is wasting time. I didn't stay on this planet to teach team rookies that the battlefield is no place for idle chatter. Yeah, everyone shut up! Stop making fun of me! Ooh! So my main, like, one of my lasting memories of this fucking game is that if you're in a cave, you're probably getting a lot of cutscenes for some reason. So far, it hasn't been as bad as I remember, but this color palette is pretty close to something that I'm like, oh, this seems familiar. What the hell am I supposed to do with this hole? Apparently,
There, a surprise.
I guess I'm going in this hole. Whee! Okay. I mean, that would be a problem if I weren't Scythe Boy. Scythe Boy! Who else wants some Scythe Boy? Come here. Come here. Stop looking at Edge and come here. Guys! Okay. I didn't know he had a knockdown attack. I didn't know that was a thing we could do. Attack to hit while knocked down? I wish you explained any of this shit.
Is this really okay?
Probably. Getting a lot of pizza.
What?
You're getting a lot of pizza.
I said pizza.
Well, pizza's been mentioned now because you said something.
Well, I thought it sounded like pizza.
Sound like pizza? There's still a piece of Little Caesars. No. Like that thing. Icky icky. Well, is it time to beg the chat to buy you pizza?
What did you say then if it was?
Getting a lot of beats up.
Say that back. Tell me that it's on my pizza.
Oh no, I get where you're coming from. I just got thrown up on. How are you doing? Are you shitting me with that? There's a blue. Damn. Yeah.
Throwing their lives
At
away
least
for
get that before we filled it up. The green ones are really hard to get. Those are rare. Green ones are specifically ambushes. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Mine?
Please step back.
Why? What do you got?
Nothing.
There's also a lot of events for Star Ocean.
I need you to say every pony.
I'm sorry.
I need you to use a recovery item.
At this point, it's gonna have to be a status element or something because we are, boy howdy. See those pink gems?
Hot guy.
The one I'm playing as?
Guy with the sight.
That's Aramat.
Aruna?
Well, hey, your dreams are gonna come true, baby. Alright, someone's poisoned.
Recovery item used.
Why? Okay. Listen to me, not Tales of Symphonia. Tales games, you see the little marker on the bottom, how he's like bright blue, and you just push left and right to select somebody down there? On here, this is right. This is right. This is left. Down. Down. Like, you just go, it approximates, and if you can't see someone on screen, good fucking luck. It's so frustrating. I just did. She's been cured of poison. Like I said, it's got to be a status ailment or something, because each of those pink gems is like a 2% HP MP recovery at the end of a fight. I don't know. I have 9% HP MP recovery every fight, so...
Death himself has nothing to fear.
Alright, we're beating even harder. Okay, so that goes... I can't see floors. Oh, okay, well, just got to fuck around and find out then. Oh shit, I dashed! No! I'm not allowed! I'm not allowed.
Oh.
I'm not allowed.
Oh! What is your punishment?
I don't know, what's my punishment? I already made it 5 minutes instead of 15. I just gotta do it for another 5 minutes, no dashing. Oh, this just goes back to nothing. This sucks. Okay.
What happens if you bait the hole?
I think I make it last longer. I'll tack 5 minutes on at the end, I guess.
Let's do this.
That's a lot of bats. Oh my god! Damn, well, board's full. That's one of them. Bonus board full. Look at this. That ought to kill a bat.
Amateurs, throwing their lives away for nothing.
Amateurs. Problem is, it's just a big dumb straight line. I'm like, I want to run. I want to be free. I want to be free.
We can handle
That's a weird
this.
voice. Try that, guys. I do actually like that he uses his kicks because, like, here's a guy who's like, he has a giant sword basically. And he's still like, yeah, but I'm just gonna kick you to death.
It's not like I was holding back, but
I don't need it.
And so,
Ow.
like bad karma gets worse.
Bad karma gets worse, huh? Alright, chill. Shadow the man meat. Oh! Okay. Mini boss, I guess. It's just a formerly common move. Where were you going exactly? Oh, bonus board broken. That hurts my soul. I blew back though.
Let's do this again sometime.
Sure thing, titties. You sure are a flirty cougar for someone who's like, I miss my dead husband. Yeah, clearly you miss your dead husband. You just fucking constantly like, oh yes. Oh, what is that? You're a dude.
Unfortunately.
Dermoptera. Dermatitis. Yo, he shoots spikes out his ass. I don't like that. Okay, fuck. Okay, fuck. Wow, that devastated it.
I was just getting warmed up.
That was full 2 fights ago. Dang. Oof. That's a dungeon crawling. There's a dungeon. We're crawling in it. Alright, we don't like those. Those are fucking mean. Those messed me up. Look at that. Dang. Can I use, like, berry healing? Please. That was mean. Hit it. Okay, yeah, 15 minutes is way too long, baby.
You just don't want to follow the rule.
It's boring! I want to go zoomies! We got dryads in here. We got fucking dark fog of darkness. What is this? Okay. Hello. You're purple and red. Pink. Let me refill my pretty gems. Thanks.
just getting warmed up. Bring them on.
Ash. I got ashes out of that. I killed them so hard they turned to ash. No, I don't think so. I can't run from you. It's forbidden.
We can handle this.
Dude, where are you going? Okay.
I was just getting warmed up. Bring them on.
So this is a jump down to an area that just loops around, but we'll want to do that mostly anyway, because there's stuff and I'm a whore. Okay? Oh, good. I wish I'd surprise. Hello? Dude, you were on me. Hi. Welcome to Being the Cat Interruption. What's up? What's up? What's wrong with you, Rose? Hey. Well, there's my freedom, but unfortunately I did mess up, so... We're doing another 5. Hey. What are you doing? Hello, Jane. Why are you stepping me in? Do you think I have something? Buddy, I ain't got shit. Okay, whatever. Fine. 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 Weird little man. There's that. Oh! Being my cat, my weird little cat. There it is. Okay. I got some critical finish. There's some bonus XP to make up for all the other crap I'm losing. Fine. Fine.
You're like you're walking on air.
It's fine. Everything's fine. Yep, come on. Come give me a hug. You very cool person, you.
Let's do this.
Unfortunately,
Some of this.
I'm trying to get
Amateurs.
Blindside.
Throwing their lives away for nothing.
They are bugs, sir. Can't be amateurs. They can't really be anything. They're just bugs. Sorry if it bugs you. That was Sarah Makes a Pun. I believe that's on the list.
oh dear.
Okay.
Talk about our show and no
There made a pun. Made a pun. I did talk game design, so I bitched about the fucking UI. Oh. Okay. Alright. My box! Sure, I could eat. That's worse than a mimic. That's so mean. Hey, did you want that? Oh. Where'd I even come out from that? Oh, okay. Screw it. There's always next time! Okay, I'm not sure how I'd go back up from here. What do I get? Accuracy succeeds. Okay. I can use those to make things for my bunny and things for me, and I should use them to permanently boost my stats. It might be part where the game's been harder, but hey!
Unfortunately,
Take a nap. Eat my diabolic edge.
Throwing their lives away for nothing. And so my bad karma gets worse.
Dude, he's such an edgelord. And so my bad karma gets worse. I'm such a sticky poopy butthole, man. I'm so mean, I'm so nasty, I'm so scary. I'm such a scary guy, so scary. I'm gonna go north. That requires a bug come and fight me here. And a bug isn't coming to fight me from here. It has to come from the other way. Or something. I'm not sure what's going on there. Well, that's the sound I make when someone falls from the ceiling, too.
unfortunately,
I am not getting this blowing my nose. Look how the fog is so persistent here that even knocking them high up in the stick. The sky crimson dark. But dang.
I was just
Just
getting
gone.
Bring 'em on.
Alright, timer's done. I'm allowed to run around again. No one can stop me unless they stop me. Evil. Where is it? I did. Okay. There's a box right here. Burn it! Nature Wand.
Right. Let's keep this
Level
up.
up outside of combat. And potentially an equipment upgrade, which remembers, I believe it's all a level. Wow. Yeah, alright. You know, and I haven't used her in a bit. She's fallen behind. Let's, bring Lynn in. I'll give you guys some chance for some Cerberus and some K and all that. So that is a level up outside of combat. Ding. And where is that? Gear upgrade. And there's a chance for 2 more just by nature of Lynn being present. So, enjoy. Remember, if you spot a big fire dog, that counts. That counts for something. Okay, we're being targeted. For me. Edge, honey, you're getting your ass beat, man. Alright. There.
Amateurs. Throwing their lives away
If
for
you need
nothing.
to choose, you're all stinky poopy buttholes.
Please step back.
Give me stuff. Love stuff. I'm sure there's like a storage on the ship for excess, so I could not screw my crap and go, ooh, 16 of those. Hey, there's Yetta.
It's not like I was holding back, but is this all they've got?
Oh, are these guys a bunch of weenie wussies?
And so my bad karma gets worse.
Am I a poop poop? Let me write your games, guys. The dialogue will be amazing. Am I a weenie poop poop? No, I'm sensing a pattern here. I really am. But listen, there's a bunch of stuff here and upstairs that I am interested in. So we're gonna do that first. Oops. Excuse me, I'm disgusting. Oh no, are you gonna be annoying? I see that. I'm sensing a pattern. Ah, you're worth a bunch because you're a big fat dude and you like you're worth meat, XP,
Come on,
whatever.
let's do this.
When the hit stun is enough to entire games turn to a freaking slideshow. That's awesome. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Come back and die. You still alive? Oh, they aren't now.
Amateurs, throwing their lives away for nothing.
I don't think Armac thinks very highly of these ants. Let's see. Up there is something. That might go back up. I will look. Excuse me. Trying to investigate a situation.
Take advantage.
Okay, now.
Amateurs, throwing their lives away for nothing.
Take that bonus XP, baby. 50% bonus XP. Make me happy. Make me strong. Make me go ding 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 ding. I'm very strong. A normal thing to say. Really? And this goes right where I thought I'd be. Okay, cool. This lets me grab this stuff that I missed. There it is.
Please step back.
Gnome stove. Imagine digging up a rock and literally it's just shaped like a gnome. And you're like, This phase? Wait, oh, I can use that with this earth ring. Okay, there it goes. Liz! What's up? Are you outside my door? Or are you like, I've come to suck your blood or something?
Show me some enjoyment.
You want to drain me like a step dude. You bitch! You broke my board! The only thing that matters! Apparently. I was so close to
Throwing their
falling
lives
again.
away for nothing.
You.
I'm gonna get even stronger, Kay.
Oh, there's Kay. We got Kay. What's up, Lizzie? Emma said Kay. Walker, I thought it would prank me. My face. They broke my face. What's in the box? Oh, blackberries and basil. Yay! Surely someone... Oh, yeah. Yeah, he's been spamming. Go off. Find so frickin' many of them. Just do it. And basil? Oh, I literally have to have a basil missing or it won't work. Okay. I guess nothing's up with Lizzie. She just wanted to scream my name. Or it's because I have unread messages. Sometime in my Discord. No, that's Seeker. I have no idea. Okay. Okay, love you, bye-bye. Then the viewers, wow. Okay. Give me that. Hi. More gnomes. Come here. That was a chance for a green one. I'm sad they were just barely too far apart, I guess.
Come on, let's do this.
Prepare yourself. Diabolic Unholy Maelstrom.
Now let's see what I'm made of.
Diabolic
Kick you in the face. You ruined everything. Whoops, you missed. There's the finish. Give me that XP, jerk. Watch out for that bug. No, that bug needs to watch out for me.
Thank you.
Hey, new skill learned. EX healing. Healing. But EX. Okay, where is it? New skill learned, new skill learned. There it is. Let me take your pooter, baby? Okay. Go to your desktop. Now that it's been cleansed, I don't think your mouse pad's gonna be dry yet. Oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. So I can just put it over there. Oh, not getting up. You good? You good? Up. I spoke it into being by misspeaking. Wait. Anything else over here I care about? It doesn't. Your face. Your face. Your face. Your face. Your face. Love your face. Enjoying your pooter, baby. You don't know. Are you gonna draw? You gonna watch Avatar? You gonna play video games and watch Avatar? You gonna watch me? You gonna watch Grass Grow? Avatar 4, we watch grassgrow.com. We go back north now. That was a moment of camera. That's certain.
Got bed noise, everybody.
Whoops. Oh, that might be close to get to. Yeah, she had to move her bed so it made me creaky creaky. So I can look at other stuff. The game is not full screen because the game in full screen is dedicated full screen only. It does not have borderless. So if I'm full screen, really, he's behind a wall so he doesn't count. That's frustrating. If I need to look at my Twitch chat or anything, it will stop and shrink the game if it's full screen. For most people, this would not be the end of the world, but considering how I've been playing the game, as exclusively a streaming thing, pretty much, kind of a problem. I need to be able to interact with my bingo, I need to be able to do all this other shit. What? You filthy whore! Get juggled, you piece of shit asswipe. Oh, someone's still alive.
Amateurs.
That
Throwing their lives
sucked.
away for nothing.
Alright. Oh, I walked past it. Oh, big hole. Oh, I know where we are. Is there a big hole up, too? Can we see up? In any way, shape, or form? No? I'm gonna bet we're underneath that other cave. Or the same sort of weird hole with a carving on it is. I bet that's all narratively one fucking thing. Okay, we need to go mad south. Oh, you guys keep making me upset. Leave me alone. Jerks. Mad south. Or to jump down a hole after a chest. That is also wholly an option, and I'm all for it. Give me free shit. Give me treats! Yeah, probably. My slogan. Oh no, it's the spiky boys. They're cool designs, but they beat me up so bad. Damn! Oh, excuse me again. The Sodi is betraying me. No, don't be here. Don't be here. This is a bad spot to be. I've been silenced. I've been silenced. They silenced me. I've been silenced.
Amateurs.
And yet he can still drop shade.
I feel like I'm walking on air.
Okay. What cures silence? Is that red herb? It's flashing, Sarah. Below the fold. I fell down here. I can jump down there, which I think goes back up where I was. And there's over there. God, I wish I could scroll this map. There's a big dumb rock. Okay. So over there is its own thing. Okay, so if I go over here, is this a jump down for... Wait. No, I can't. What? Oh, it's over there. Okay. Is it an ice one? Just a casual chunk of ice down here. Big old frozen dookie. You can. The way I play, not as much. That's a jump down, and that is the opposite. But you can switch characters constantly in combat. Sometimes I do, and it helps that they have the battle trophy thing, so they only make progress.
Come on, let's do this.
Being Colette does sound less than fun. Yeah. Tails is hit and miss with it. I like that they all play differently, typically. From game to game, even. They're really good at making the characters feel unique. There's a reason I want to see a Tails MMO. Or at least something multiplayer that like you can play online with friends. I think would be fun. Just because they're so good at building unique mechanics for different people. And half the time in their games, you will never play those characters. But they have those mechanics anyway if you want to. And I think that's really cool. But the mages alone, usually rough. They're kind of built around someone else covering their ass. I don't remember Colette. She has the ring thing she can throw, right?
Please step back.
Think? Or is it just close range? I thought she could toss them a bit and helps, but like spells are always need to be covered, kind of. Don't usually like playing spellcasters in a Tales game. And the favor sword dudes. Fist is fairly common second only to sword, but I don't really like Fist that much usually the way they do it. But they keep telling me to shut up, dudes.
It's not like I was holding back, but
Death himself has nothing to fear.
Combo entry during blindsides. Oh, is that what was wrong? I hate that. I hate that certain mechanics are locked behind that beat level. I don't remember if Tales of Graces did it, where the thing this does, where like the battle trophies can only be earned while you're playing somebody. Like win X number of fights, this character only counts if you're playing that character on this. And it encourages you to try different people, do different things, and since they want 4 different playthroughs, you can focus on different characters in different playthroughs. And they also encourage different... I fucking hate you so much, you piece of shit ass. You board-breaking summer. Oh. What are they saying?
All by myself. Too easy.
Sorry, they broke my soul and my board at the same time. It's just... They're the same thing, really. Inari is playing Star Savior instead of watching me! Monster Jewels. Those are nice when you can actually get them. Those are also much more available in later playthroughs. I do not have the ability to do anything about that. This one's on fucking fire. Do not have a ring of wet. Bummer. Oh, I could have just jumped down before. Got a full serenade. Do I use Google Messages? Oh, like on my phone? I don't know what I use on my phone. Hey, look. Why? My Messages is just called Messages.
This little icon in the bottom middle.
It is Google Messages, yes. What symbols, baby? I think that means people have seen the message.
What about the red check, red bubble?
Okay, nice. Well, I'm looking at you had the red bubble there. Red bubble looks like you're the last one to talk. Yeah. That just means you're the last one to speak. Okay. We're going south. Just like my career. This way is free treats, and as we all know, we'll always go after treats. Hello. You must be the other one that fell down because there's a pile of sand there. Skill manual charge. Charge!
Please step back.
Oh, this is why I get out of the shower slower usually. Whew. My hair got my back of my shirt wet and now it's cold. What was I doing? Skill manual. Items. Use items. Up. Charge. Allows you to charge disintegration rings. Oh my god. Limmel, take it. Yes. Absolutely. Holy shit. I was just bitching about that. Thank you so much. My Weenor is hard now. Apparently Sarah didn't know chain combos yet. Can Arumat learn anything that I care about? Can Arumat learn anything that I care about? HP boost. Fury boost. Illusion. Actually. Taunt. I can see him doing taunt. Hide. Alright. I forget if Grace's got a Steam release with the remaster they're doing. I'm pretty sure they're doing a remaster of it. I don't remember if it's out yet or not. I think they announced it for like Switch 2 or something. But if you have not played Grace's, that one starts very fucking slow, to be fair. But as it opens up, its combat becomes some of my favorite I've ever played in that series. The way you can start chaining things. Oh yeah, Asbel is dumb as hell. It is a very, very tropey. If you've played Tales games, you know the deal with it, right? Like, Symphonia was successful in like half the games, follow the same cast tropes and shit. It's one of those, big time. It was pretty good. It's got a post game. That's why it's Tales of Grace's Fort or whatever. I don't know if anyone else calls it Fort or if it's just F. It's always kind of different. 6 stoned assholes! Run. Fuck you! I tried to get away, you stupid giant asshole! You piece of shit! That's legit. That's me tilted. I'm tilted. You may mark it. Oh my god, that makes me so fucking mad. You board-busting whores. Oh!
Amateurs, throwing their lives away for nothing.
Ugh. I'm okay.
They're tilting.
I marked it. I marked it. I'm... Oh! Oh! Yeah, I'm gonna say I've been disoriented a few times in here. I keep rechecking the map all along. I'm okay. You need an ad? You just need to get out of your bed? Okay. Oh, you know, I gotta pee. I'll do a 3-minute. I'll do a 3-minute. We're gonna do an ad. It's gonna be great. We're gonna... Everyone hydrate. Everyone take care of yourselves. I will be right back. I'm going to switch over to the cool screen that says be right back. Check it out. Whoa. Decent? figured we probably wouldn't want to listen to that one, like, 5-second loop this entire time. Dinner's almost here, and Wifey is having a brief, non-serious emergency. Which, I mean, she's not, like, endangering, and she just needs my assistance with something. So, I'll be back soon. I hope the change of music is nice.
I'm fine, everybody.
She's fine. She just needs my help with some things. It happens. I'm a good girl. I take care of my wife. Dancey, dancey, dance, dance, dance.
That's VTuber shenanigans.
Yeah, I marked that preemptively. I knew I'd do that as soon as this came back on. I know me. I'll at least AFK until the pizza gets here, because it's supposedly, like, on its way, and it's, like, a block away when they I should just pick it up. Probably good for my car if I drove it over once in a while. I don't know. Whatever. Anyway, but meh. Oh, wait, how about you tell me about your day? What you been up to? What's up? Pretend it's just chatting, but like with each other. Make friends, kiss. I don't know. Anyone lurking? Want to say hi? Some people use me to vibe and fall asleep, and that's fine. Snork me, your little life boy. You know what? I cannot judge. I woke up at like 3:45. I was out like a light. Baby, what's a good question of the day? Favorite fruit? Make a case for your favorite fruit.
Favorite childhood stuffed animal.
Favorite childhood stuffed animal. Hers is favorite childhood stuffed animal. Mine is favorite fruit. If they're both the same answer, you win the prize of...
A smooch.
A smooch. You win the prize of a smooch. Which is way better what I was going to say, being kind of weird. Yeah. If no one answers, then I know you're all snoozing. And my rights as Sandman will be complete.
And woman.
Well, yeah, but the title is, well, you know. Never know. Maybe there is a woman Sandman. There's still the Sandman, kind of like still the fireman, policeman. Like, yeah, there's police women, but who do you call policeman? Preferably not. But yeah, a cap. Okay, that's it. Hopefully, yes. call the voting round. You have 2 minutes. Vote for your event for bingo, and it'll call the event. Fight amongst yourselves. Hello. Pardon that delay. You still there? You still having a lovely evening? I have a chicken wing. I'm going to eat it. Okay. Where were we? Things like this are why I say Dark Souls is a privilege. Oh, she got me a 2-liter. I'm gonna go get a cup. I'm gonna have a cup. Cold soda in a cup. Like a real person. Really? Like a real cup. Eat cup. Okay, let me explain though. Let me explain my thought here. The Dark Souls, the Bloodborne, that whole style of you can't pause the game, that's part of the challenge. I'm a caretaker. Sometimes, as a fun surprise in my life, I'm just needed. And that's not even just because of my wife. Sometimes the cat throws up somewhere and I need to deal with it, you know? If you have kids, I don't know how you play those games. I cannot fathom the amount of control. Everyone's like, just go back to a bonfire, you'll be safe. And I'm like, I just had to AFK spontaneously for nearly half an hour. I'm amazed anyone's still here. Thank you for being here. You can't just like... And I didn't have any warning. It just happened. Stuff happens. Sometimes things sneak up and they happen. And that's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, people who don't get why I can't play like Souls-like games and stuff because I can't pause. That's why. That's why. Sometimes I'm just needed elsewhere. And I gotta be able to put everything down and walk away. Kinda no matter what. So I ran another 3-minute ad. Not out of greed, out of hopes that it would make the pre-roll stop for an hour or so. If people come back or stop in. And I apologize for the interruption. It happens in my life. It just does. It's not the first time. It won't be the last. And that's just the situation I live in. And that's some people do. I don't know. I don't have anyone else who can be like, you take care of it, you know? You take care of the life problems. I'm playing video games for the internet. Like, it's not that important. So, it's fine. I'm back. We took care of it. And she has her dinner. I ate 2 little chicken drummies, and now I have the hiccups. So, enjoy this development in my life. Oh my god. It sucks. I don't like the hiccups. Did not ask for these. How dare you? Tummy. And if I break again, it's gonna be so I can't carry any more vile goop, so I can eat pizza. But I was only planning to go for about 2 hours, 2.5. So you know, also he's trying to get through this dungeon tonight. Was the idea, I think. Put a little dent in it. Get back into it. I had vile goop and I hit the wrong button, dudes. It's kind of a weird week. It is the 20th anniversary of her writing RP thing she does. Not 20th. Third. 20 years. Holy shit. Started when she was 19. That'd be funny. We're about to be in trouble. Fuck you, Bat. 3rd anniversary. So they're doing a different schedule this week, and it's kind of a special thing. I'm just kind of rolling with it. My brain refuses to just remember the schedule properly for some stupid fucking reason.
Friday.
Saturday. Sunday. Why was it today instead of Monday then? If the trip
Today instead of Tuesday, today's the actual day.
Oh, okay.
Throwing their lives away for nothing.
So, whatever, it's on the weekend. So I guess tomorrow I'll probably do a work stream. That should be normal, at least. I'm torn between Skebs and starting the bunnies, because we are halfway through April, and I have at least 2 of those I said I'd get done by the end of the month. They are actually my most pressing deadlines on VGen are the rabbit partner commissions. So,
Please step back.
and if I do those, I can continue to shill my cool stickers and badges that I don't know if anyone's bought. So, here's another hole. Well, I was looking at that hole. I was looking at that hole. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just saying, don't take for granted having full control over your own like time and immediate needs and responsibilities. Sometimes, some people they don't have that, and a lot of people seem incapable of fathoming not being in full control of everything in their life. And good for them. Good for them. And I like having control. Don't get me wrong. I can be a control freak. Right, Limo can charge now. How do we do that? It's free? It costs catalysts. But I max on catalysts, whatever they are, so there we go. Okay, cool. Makes my life easier. Why is this there? Yes, go up. This just looks like there's not. That still kind of looks like there's nothing there. There's something behind this rock. Glow sticks again. I get it. I haven't been hit with fog yet. I've been hit with silence. Not giving me anything for silence. Hard to fight right now. I just kind of gonna get on with it. Fuck you in particular, buddy. You're a bonus board breaking asshole. Or if my bonus board's gone to shit anyway, I might as well get to that save point, because usually save point means we're about to be in trouble. Oh. There is stuff south. Over here, I can hit this button. Boing. Everything is dandy. These chicken wings are sitting in front of me, tempting me, and all I want to do is eat chicken wing. I'm gonna have another chicken wing. No one can stop me. No one, I saved. It's so good. Oh. Just like naked Domino's drumsticks, and I just love them. They're good. I don't know what they do to these. They're just yummy. I make wings and they kind of suck. I have a bag in the back. I figure out what to do with it. It's like, I should see if I can find an impersonation recipe. Figure out what I'm doing wrong. What do you think? Think I could do it? I've been trying to learn how to cook better. When I start using paprika on our chicken, that's pretty good. I don't really taste anything different when the chicken's cold. It's weird. But one of my secrets is I kind of love cold chicken. I'm a freak. Make shake and bake. We'll make shake and bake chicken hot. I'm like, whatever. Once it's cold and kind of soggy, for some reason I like it. I'm weird. Which is extra weird because my favorite part of shake and bake is what I call the crispy bits at the bottom of the pan. Oh, okay. Oh, you're ugly. All right.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, shit, I'm wearing
That's
chicken wings.
certainly a very large ant sleeping on the floor there. Is this the Grogiri?
First of all, it's not sleeping. It looks totally dead. And it's Grigori, not Grogiri.
Oh, I understand. Gregory, right.
Nailing it.
Does she do that on purpose?
Honestly, I often find myself hoping that's the case.
Don't do it, man.
What are you doing, Maddie?
Out of my way, amateur. To arms. It's coming.
The Rock. The Rock. It's time to fight a rock.
What?
speared you and now it's alive with the code.
Get ready, people!
Your actions are futile, live ones.
What was that voice?
Your mother.
Did you hear it too? It was just inside my head all of a sudden.
I heard it too. Who are you? Show yourself!
We are aware of all your secrets. You have absolutely no chance of victory.
Oh, why? There it is again. Oh, where are you? You're making my head hurt, Kay.
We are here with you now. And we are in places far, far away.
This voice.
Oh, shit, we're fighting Star Wars.
Are you... the Grigori?
We are one who is all who are one. We are the endless ring that joins totality. We know you all too well. You cannot defeat us. Accept the new universe that we shall create. We are infinity. We are perpetuity. Our end.
We are
is
a
an
PSO2 boss.
impossibility. Therefore, accept. The new universe. The new universe.
I didn't get married or new claws. Shit.
The new universe.
Oh, those eyes move. That's freaking.
What were we...
Were we beginning to fall under its mental control?
Whoa. My head feels a lot better now. Maddie, thank you. Kay?
Your petty persuasions can't deceive me. My brethren's cries of anguish as they fell before your phantoms. They ring too loud in my ears.
Shadow the Hedgehog.
You say you're infinite? I'll bring you infinite destruction! You say you're perpetual? I'll show you perpetual ruin!
Looks like we exchanged our first Eldarian for quite a different one.
Yeah, no shit.
We didn't exchange phase for anybody. Aramat is one of us now. An important ally. We can't afford to let him down, right? Come on, people!
Time to fight a big dumb bug. Big dumb bug.
If you refuse to accept the new universe, your destruction shall greet you on the tips of our siblings' fangs.
Alright, guys. I don't want to be presumptuous. I think I see this one's weak point. Oh my god! Big counter. Also, Limel's almost dead. And we have silenced our healer. Good start. Yeah, one of those. Yeah, draw your aggro, please. Everyone else is getting their asses creamed. Oh my god. This is such a bad start. Oh no. No, I think we just lost. I think we've immediately lost. Like... Is there a just reload my game now button? Holy shit. Like, both mages instantly fucking died, dude. I know. Oh my god, what is happening? Is it just the ads? Okay, he has Stone Rain. That explains some of it.
Unholy
Kill that. Okay, what can we do here? Like... Bring back Sarah. Mary, no offense. You lasted 2 seconds. Give me the good mage. Edge, you can go ahead and stay over there getting pummeled. I don't care. Okay, he has some nightmare AoE. That's not great for me. We're gonna do this. Like, weak point's up there, right? Maybe we can go up. Kind of winning. Alright, it's raging. It's just kind of hitting edge over and over, and I'm fine with that. I don't know why I need to be so close with the cast Earthquake, but alright. And I get no rush out of this. That's very cool. Okay, so I have Convert. Oh wow, that's super worth it. I mean, if Edge wants to keep drawing aggro, I'll just drop rocks on his ass. I don't care. It's doing 0. It's doing 0. It is doing 0. Edge is the only thing hurting it. What? Alright, no, I'll do this. I don't give a fuck. I can cheese. If you're just gonna be over there being a dumbass, check this out, man. Yep, everyone else start, how about Unholy Maelstrom? Nether Strike. Does that do something? Oh, there we go. Okay, it's Cheese City, but we did hurt him, and it seems to be the most we're hurting him. Who's the hot guy, and why is it not Bacchus? I was going to say Aramat, but if you're into robots, like, I'm not going to stop you. You live your life. You guys just keep doing that, and I'll just keep doing this, because... Oh, well, I stunned myself. Overdid it. It's working! It's the only thing that's hurting him without getting me AoE to death. Did he just heal, or was... I hope that was it. If it's this dude healing, we're so fucked. Sarah? I mean, she heard it. She heard it. I don't care. She heard it. I'll take it. Nothing is hurting it that I can do outside of this, so we're just gonna keep cheesing. Because apparently the giant stone rain is not actually hitting its weak point. That would be too easy. Oh, okay. Who would like to contribute? And then this stuff, like, okay, it wasn't as good. Oh dear. Okay, he's mad at me now, but that's fine. That's fine. We give Edge a second to just breathe. Now he joins. You know how nice that would have been if we had Edge join on that? This thing seems weak to physical. The problem is it's constantly raging, and it does AoE bullshit. Like that? Look how much damage that is. Just, you can't deal with that. There's nothing to do. You just stand there and you get fucked up. So it's best to just let Edge tank, because he's a computer and he's getting away with it. And I can just do this and trigger those over and over, and that seems to be working extremely well. Which is stupid, but okay. Edge was rushing, so I think he will join. I don't know how many people can join. Not enough. The ladies like Aramet, it seems. But the mages don't do shit. It just has element resistance, I think. It has to be walloped with melee. So we're basically just doing this over and over. Relying on charge for heals. Uh-oh. Okay, yeah, you're aiming at me. You're aiming at me. That's fine. Get it away from them. Keep moving. Give Edge a chance to fucking farm. I'm cool with that. I'm so cool with that, actually. Aramet, why are you doing the thing where you just randomly, like, stutter in your movement? Oh my god. Yeah, no, I'll let them work. I'll let them work. I'm fine with them working. Yep, you stone rain at me. That's cool. I can play decoy. I am so good at just not being anywhere near anything. I can be a chicken. I love chicken. You are what you eat. I will devour all the chicken, and I will be the chicken, and that's totally fine. Amoros Manifest. Hey, you remember how the first boss of the game was obnoxious as shit? This is the same guy, supposedly. I guess. That was also Amoros. Okay, I think it's mad at Edge again now. I don't know why everyone else is giving it a fucking hug, but alright. I wish they wouldn't. Be pretty good for me if they'd stop. See, ice works okay. Ice is actually working okay, which is good to know. I don't think I have that much of it. Like, was it FaZe the one with... Well, no, she's the one with the ice, so she's doing good. She's who we want. Yuria helps us out. Oh my god! I am trapped in collision, but he summoned more fucking dudes. Kill the dudes. Kill the dudes. Nothing matters besides killing these fucking dudes. These things fucked us up so bad last time they were here. Do it again. Fuck you. I failed. I failed. I suck ass and I failed. I was trying to read what people say about Pink Elf. I was too distracted by arguments over who's hot. My weakness. Oh. No, go for it. Go for it. Shoot at me. I'm nowhere near anybody. Except your evil friend who's still alive. Evil fucking friend. No, no, no. I don't know why you're the biggest threat in the room, but last time you guys were alive, everyone damn near wiped immediately. We're not playing that game. Fuck that shit. You guys are the devil and I hate your face. I'll have to catch up on chat later. Oh my god. I hate this is working, by the way. I hate this is all it's taking. Oop, move. Well, then it's Miria again. Yeah, freeze him. Freeze him and then strike him in the nethers. This feels wrong, but it's the only thing I'm seeing make numbers actually pop up within my tower. I am stuck inside of you and you've punched me in the tits. Bosses? A lot. I mean, he has the big weak point on his tail. I just don't know how to make him drop it because Star Ocean 4 is really good at showing you a thing and being like, fuck you. We already missed the closest thing I know to a bathhouse scene. Sorry. Okay, one of these has got to be MP for everybody, right? Mixed syrup, HP. Poison. Really? Oh! Yeah, blindside makes sense. You really got me to stop thinking about that really quick. Boss is constantly fucking... Poison Symphonia. I don't think I have anything that restores MP for the whole party. Okay, well, we want our... Mixed syrup... no. Blackberries? Yes. I want Sarah to keep being Sarah. Which direction? There we go. Thank you. Okay, blindside. We can blindside. We can blindside. That's fine. Before I do that, let's do a charge. Because... Yeah, no, convert. That's what it is. Because MP is good, and we like it. Okay. Now, who are you paying attention to, homeboy? It ain't me. Oh, no. He's gonna do the thing. He's gonna do the thing. He's gonna do that fucking thing. No, he's casting. That's fine. Casting is fine. You don't want it. Why are you letting me do this? Oh, there he goes. It's Edge. He's mad at Edge, not me. I mean, I could just... Yeah, whatever. Okay, there, I blindsided. Did it work? Okay, there it is! Oh, wow, you weren't kidding. Okay. You were not kidding. That... Wow. Okay. That is, like, comical how much of a difference that makes. I'm a Disgaea fan. I love big numbers. I'm just not very good at this. I feel like I used to be? I don't know. Oh, I have, like, every status ailment. Are you jealous? Are we all jealous, children? Okay, you do your big shocky poopy. Are you focused on now? My man? You're focused on my man? Alright, yeah, no, I was definitely doing this the wrong way. You win! Wow! Have I earned my last chicken wing now? May I have... Okay, what do we got? There's a lot of talking. Let me catch up real quick. Something about someone smelling like stale bread. Okay. Let's see. Yeah. By the way, hi, Wombat. Thank you for joining us. And for helping me get out of purgatory. He's somehow even edgier than Edge. Everyone is edgier than Edge. Edge's name is a misnomer. Boy howdy. Long coat and bare chest. Yeah, that is a weakness for the anime lovers. I bet he'd do your laundry if you tamed him enough. You can fix him, ladies. Live bait. Yep. Pink Elf also good. See, Liz gets me. Elderberries. Never seen him shower. I've seen one person shower in this game, and not in this playthrough. Sorry. We didn't get that scene. We did not get the Raimi and the very fuzzy towel. That's all I remember. I bring this up all the time. The fuzzy towel. I remember being like enamored with the fuzzy towel. It's like, I want that towel. Very normal response to seeing the anime girl mostly naked, right? Kratos isn't in the party for the hot springs. I want a refund. You can see the Bacchus in the toilet. I want to know how that even works. No, I don't. I do and I don't. Oh. Oh, shit. Correct. Oh, big number. Yeah. Diabolical healing. All right, we got a new skill for one of our games. Awesome. Purgatorium was back on Rogue. You're right. That was so bad I had to do a grind run. I had to do a grind session for Purgatorium because the boss went from I am mopping the floor with this to, oh, he just wiped my party. Oh my gosh. It was horrible. And that went better. It did go better after the grind run. The bosses on this just don't click with me. I don't know why. I feel like I didn't have this problem on the PS3 when I first played it. Now, maybe I'm just dumber with age. I don't know. Maybe I was just way better at blindsides or more daring. This one did freak me out with, oh, 3 of my people died in the first 5 seconds. That's pretty intense. It was the ads. It was just the ads. The freaking ads. Bloodstorm Revolution. That's a fucking name. Good for you. I'm sorry. Where's your Bloodstorm Revolution equivalent, guys? All right. All right.
Our destruction serves no purpose. We are infinite. We are one who is all. All who are one.
All right, Plasma Ball, chill out.
Captain Grafton, fellow members of the SRF, I will crush this Grigori and walk firmly, ever forward, so that these mere rocks cause no more pain, no more suffering, so that they take no more innocent lives.
Actually, rock is a slur. We prefer to be called...
And for the sake of all the dreams you invested in outer space,
They're fine. Phase, do something. Besides, lose your mind and get weird. Challenge impossible. I'm now depressingly out of cheese. Man, you take a lot of bullets in space. That is falling apart, though.
SOS from Eldarian Vessel 18! They're hit! Engines out!
Vessel 7's been destroyed! Damn it! They'd already signaled surrender!
Damn! How many of the Eldarians have gotten away?
Just
Zilch.
3 ships! Less than 20% of the fleet, sir!
Captain! Another SOS from Ship 18!
No. It's gone.
No! My brethren! Right in front of my eyes! Even though I'm so close.
And I just stood there.
How many ships are going to survive this? No, we don't have time for worrying. Our mission now is to get as many of these ships to safety as we can. Aquila, full power to shields. Bring up the rear of the Eldarian formation and act as their barrier. Once in position, open fire. We'll cover the Eldarians' escape with a full-scale volley. Report!
Our engine's hit! The Aquila's lost propulsion, sir!
What?
The enemy's ignoring us! They're making a full assault on the refugees! Vessels 5, 37, 40 down! This is... They're slaughtering them!
They'll all die. They're going to die.
Damn it! Get those engines repaired now! Phase! Phase?
Captain, one of the airlocks is opening.
He wouldn't.
He's gonna jump into space and try to do something. He won't do nothing. We won't see him for a while. Don't worry about it. I'm sure it's fine.
Phase, come back!
I can't stand this anymore. Watching my brethren die meaningless deaths is too painful.
Phase!
What?
I'm going to protect them. All of them, no matter what. I'm not going to let any more die. I'm going to do what even Edge couldn't do. I swear it!
Check out the pixels on my skin texture.
Me!
There's one.
It's finally over, Edge.
No, not yet. We're going to EN2 now.
Finally.
To find out what we need to do.
Finally. We've only been talking about it for most of the game.
Come on, Maddie. You're coming too, Kay.
I have no reason to stay with you any longer. I will track down the Grigori alone.
Edge.
Maddie, you're our friend now, right? That's why you saved us before. Kay?
You can't argue with a child.
If you'd been killed, you would have been an impediment, that's all.
People who you don't want to die are friends. Kay?
What a simple girl. Would you still say that if you knew I was Death himself?
Death?
Through battle after battle, I've watched my men, my friends die all around me. Always, only I survive.
I feel like there should have been a pause there.
You people got lucky this time. But honestly, do you really think that luck will last?
Yes, we're the main
I
characters.
wouldn't bet on it. Not with these odds.
Oh yeah, huh? All right then. I'll take that bet.
What?
Of course. I already know I've won. Death himself? We're not about to fall to a silly superstition like that.
I blew up a planet. Fuck you.
As long as we have a path to walk,
Technically,
we
too.
can't die. Don't underestimate us. We're a lot stronger than you think we are.
I'll beat you in a fight right now. Please don't test that. Please don't test that. Please don't test that.
Such capriciousness.
Oh, you know big words.
How amusing that you would say the same thing he did.
Challenge extended. Behold, a hole. We're going to ominously focus on the hole. Don't worry about the hole we're focusing on. The whole thing is not that important. You can't carry this shit. You're still full of vile goop. I mean, fix this real quick. Useless. We're not going to get all of them, because I missed some early on, but I'm still, like, adamant about getting as many as I can, because I'm silly. I need to ditch water? Guys, we're carrying too much water. Chug. Yes, dear. You go back to bed? Wait just a sec. Start moving that way. I'll be there to help you by the time you're ready. Dude, I forgot what I was doing. I got focused on the color green. Holy crap. Fresh water. Fresh water? Fresh water? Fresh water? Ah! Wait. I imagined it. I saw the word natural. Wait, that's the one I need, right? Natural water? There we go. Okay. I'm gonna run a quick ad and assist my wife. Yeah. Be sure to complain about whatever the ads are. It amuses me. And I know they're terrible. I saw some recently while watching someone else, and I wanted to destroy the world. So, remember, bitch about it publicly. It's fun. Go! Okay. Alright, I'm back. Ads in 2026? It's more likely than you think. Notapartments.com. Yes, look at these homes you cannot afford. You chump. Don't you wish you had money? Don't we all wish we had money? Millennial Core. Oof. Saving, cause I killed the boss. Electronic countermeasures. I usually do too, but I have not seen uBlock work on Twitch, so I must need to do something else for this particular can of worms. Whatever, you know, it's
Don't use uBlock.
Why?
It's stopped supporting YouTube.
Really? I haven't noticed. My uBlock still works on YouTube.
Maybe they updated.
No, they update constantly. Them and YouTube were in a huge fight for a while. Your IP address, your VPN in it. Well, I'm not VPN in it. That's a fun shadow. I love when video games do that. Yes, you exist on, I don't even know where, like way the fuck up there, I guess? Shadow casting the Kingdom Come? VPN is for people who can afford a VPN. I can't afford anything. That's a nice, cool looking thing. You know, like, does it matter? I don't know. Is it relevant to anything? I mean, the planet is cracked and glowing. I feel like I should acknowledge this as something. I have seen nothing else like it. Right, I know you have a very secure, like you're an international terrorist level security setup. I don't know what you're doing, but every time I hear about, I'm like, dang, that's impressive. I don't know why it's necessary, but it's impressive. Yes, how high would you like it? It's on 2. I can go 1 lower if you'd like. Lower if you'd like. Done. And since I am able to charge my own thing... Well, that's why I said, like, international terrorist here. You're like... Your security makes me think you're hiding from the government. That's what your security makes me think. I'm going to go the long way around because I can open that box now because I got the thing that lets me recharge my rings. I want that box. Because usually when the box is a charge box, it's a decent box. I hit R or something. Hiding from... I don't see the point of that. Genuinely. Like, I just don't. Why do I sometimes just stop when I turn direction? What happened with Waz? Waz doesn't do shit. They broke my board. I was playing with buttons and they broke my board. I haven't noticed that issue before tonight. He doesn't do it all the time. But sometimes he stops and full on...
Amateurs, throwing their lives away for nothing.
I'm sure they've collected a lot. I just don't see the point in fighting with it anymore. Like, frankly, I don't think there's much I can feasibly do about it. I'm poor as shit. I turn off most targeted ads. I'm sure they have a lot about me. I don't use Google. I use DuckDuckGo, even though it's just kind of a Bing reskin. Me too. I've had the same email for the longest fucking time. Oh no, I believe in privacy too. I just also believe that they have all the money and resources in the world and are in my phone, they are in my computer, they are in my friends and family's phones and computers. I can have a conversation with my mother about something and I'll get ads about it. We weren't even on the phone. The problem isn't just that they collect the data. The problem is that they're fucking allowed to. And unless we do something to make it so they're not allowed to, they're gonna like... They're gonna do it. So... Like, I'm not like, I should just give up. I'm like, it was gone before I realized I had a choice in the matter. So there's no point. That fight was lost before I knew I was fighting it. And that's going to be the case for most people. And it's mostly just so they can sell us advertising. And I don't understand the value of advertising being what it is. Costing businesses as much as possible is nice, for the most part. Like, I also do a lot of shopping online and shit. I'm not going to stop using Steam and stop using Amazon and all that, because I can barely leave the house, right? So... It's just some of it is the cost of my situation. I need access to some of these things, and they're going to do what they're going to do. So I don't remember when I made my email. I know it will make someone mad because it is Gmail. I used to have a fucking Yahoo, if you'll believe that. When I first made one in high school. I don't even remember what it was.
We can use this.
But basically, the only way I'm disappearing from their systems, I think, is if I don't know, erase my identity, fake my death, and switch to a bunch of shit I don't use right now. Not just Linux. Like, I'd have to ditch my phone. In America, at least, the phone, they can just track everything about you through your cell phone. So unless you're landline exclusive, there's fucking nothing you can really do. It's miserable. Oh my. Ads being based on click is annoying. Kinda, yeah. I like existing. I'm sorry. I have no intention of stopping anytime soon. That's the one thing about me that isn't very millennial core. I think if they could, like, stick me in a robot so I go forever, I'd take that. You know, just so I could keep doing what I do. But wasting their compute's good. I like that. Ad nauseum sounds alright. I think the entire ad market being based on clicks is terrible for everybody. I wish they'd change that. Because it has, especially in the mobile situation, encouraged a, I'm gonna turn this down, we're not the boss anymore. There we go, now I can hear myself think. On mobile especially, they've created situations where ads like force click-through? So they get paid or whatever? I don't know. I don't know what's going on over there.
Throwing their lives away for nothing.
That's a weird number. 108. So I'll get ads that are like, you know, forcing the thing open if you're looking at it for too long, but you're forced to look at it for too long, and all. And like, I just wanted my fucking gems in my game or whatever. Like, God, dude. They're terrible. It's terrible. But I cannot imagine how in America
Here we go.
you would manage to go completely undetectable and invisible without it being very expensive and requiring a lot of digital purchasing, which is something you avoid, from what I recall. So that's out the window. Like, I'm pretty sure the banks sell our information, for fuck's sake. So unless we found a way to go cash only and still VPN or something, I don't know what would even be possible here. Consumer rights in America are dog shit.
That was easier than trying to fly.
And you can try to pretend they're not or put up all these walls around you and stuff. They'll still find a fucking way around it. There's entire... It's, you know, the entire system is about give us money for this, give us... Like, it sucks. I thought... Oh, yeah, no, it's right here. There was a way to just rush back. What was it? It's right here. Yeah, the Oregon DMV got data breached. My SSN's probably fucking out there. Because our actual state government couldn't fucking keep it together. Okay. Okay. Portland exists. Come on, there's at least 79. Oh yeah, Ohio girls laughing her ass off. You know where I've never been flipped off by someone's grandmother driving? Oregon. I don't spend that much time in Portland. I'm sure it happens there.
We can use this.
Look, we're not that tiny, okay? We're just ignorant, arrogant, and annoying. It's completely different problems. I kind of wish my state had less people than Oregon. I don't know. Idaho? Ohio, Idaho? Do they pay you in potato? At this point, I'm surprised they don't pay us in weed. That's what we're good for. Oregon, the grass seed capital of the world. Ooh, baby. You want some grass seed? Do you need to grow your lawn? Are you bougie AF? You gonna grow your lawn? Oh my gosh. Oh yeah, we gotta assign a room. I feel like he'd get along with Bacchus alright. I feel like this would make babies happen, but like hate babies? It's complicated. I'd like to be alone tonight. Are you kidding? No, I'm not good with kids. Is some sort of joke. Well, I'm not giving up this one. I put the love perfume in there, so... You get free weed? "45 minutes to Ontario." Fair enough. I know a segment of Oregon wanted to defect to, like, Eastern Oregon wanted to defect to Idaho because it's more Republican and they wanted to be there. I'm like, ew. Bye, then. I don't think anyone wants Eastern Oregon. I don't think we want them. Rural Oregon's terrible. I live in rural Oregon. It sucks here. I could go off about our fucking mayor again, I guess. I get tired of doing it, but, you know, he deserves it. He sucks ass. The whole town sucks ass, but whatever. Wait. We want to go to the back first, because if we go to the back first, we'll get our favorite bingo thing, which might already be pinged. Anyone in there? No. Something happened. Oh, thank you for the follow, Mr. Wombat. Or Mr. Potent, if you prefer.
What's that?
Or Miss! It could be. It could be a lot of things. I shouldn't assume things. We need to import more gays here. Well, that's what the commune's for, but no one wants to move to Oregon. They all want us to go out to the East Coast. Like, there's enough people on the East Coast. We want a nice gay mountain commune over by the Oregon coast. That's what I want. The air is great. You're right. I'm sorry. I was raised wrong. They never taught me the value of hard work in the potato fields. That's all I've got. That's literally all I know about Idaho. Besides that, it's got a funny shape and it kind of looks like the state is pointing up at Canada. Never seen a potato field, born and raised. Is this like how Lebanon has the strawberry festival, even though I've never seen a strawberry field here in my entire adult life? Maybe when I was a kid there were some? Liz, do you remember any fucking strawberry fields here? Like, we celebrate our strawberries. I'm like, wait, what? We have strawberries? All we have now is grass fields and, like, sometimes corn, but mostly grass. They literally grow grass, and not the fun kind. Just wombat is fine. That's fair. Well, yeah, you were enticed by the delicious strawberries. Maybe the DMV did it. And they got their data breached because the strawberry farmers were angry at being told not to farm strawberries anymore and wanted revenge. Pronouns are not important, but a dude I be. You know, I feel that. You've done you pick strawberries. It's fair. I feel like I have too, like Grandpa's Pumpkin Patch or something used to have them. Ironically, even though the name implies pumpkins. What is the pattern on her dress? How have I never noticed that? What is that? There's like a space invader. I feel like something's going on there. They just slap a Rorschach fucking thing on her? Whatever. Pickled pepper potion. That's fun to say. Light charm cursed cider.
Yo, people, how's it going?
I don't know, but we got a new friend.
Anyone out there got any good ideas?
He's good at alchemy and engineering. He's gonna go with Edge because I need to make new scythes. So Smithery is Bacchus. And the mages can have a little party, and then you two can do whatever. Go.
Good luck, kiddos.
Crafting time.
All finished.
I was really thinking we'd get a
All finished.
perfect berries, huh?
Close enough, huh? A passing grade, perhaps.
All right.
All right.
Dogs,
Done.
dude.
Nice.
Not too shabby.
Let's see here. Hand goes to space. That's about to be true. Crafting menu time. Yes. Really? Already? The mages are the ones going at it? I thought you guys were about done. Mind you, I did get new sides, and that's what I wanted out of that, so.
Ooh.
Okay.
How much help you think this'll be?
Perfect berries. Big berries and holy water. What do they do? I can make that.
How much help you think this'll be?
I don't know. Depends how much I need to freeze things deluxely.
Neato! I knew you kids had it in
Dark
you.
Devourer is just what you call me at 4 a.m. in the kitchen.
Are you satisfied with this, kids?
Laser Scythe. You have nothing. You have nothing.
Well, you get an E for effort.
Ogre's Armor. Doing better. Apparently I need ceramic.
Whoa, pretty hot stuff.
Void.
Huh? This
Fairy
is
Lake.
pretty spectacular, don't you think? How much help you think this'll be?
You have one meteorite. Laser oscillator is apparently very important for making him ridiculous peacock size. You came in through the window last night. Nice. You can come in through my window.
Day you see
You're allowed.
something like this.
Most people know. That looks like a Swiss Army knife. What is that? What? What is that? What am I looking at? Can I change what? There we go. Look at that fucking thing. What is this? What is going on here? Hold sway over gravity itself. Maybe when it's making a salad. What is that?
Whoa,
Lit.
not every
Why
day
do I
you
know
see
lit?
something like this.
Is that a movie? I haven't seen that if it's a movie.
Whoa, not every day.
Liz, we
you
need to have a
see
movie
something
night.
like this.
Pick a day to call in sick to work so we can have a movie night. Great items. I want to go to probably compounding.
Figure it out soon. I
Look
don't
at
have
this.
all day.
What's this do?
Oh, so she can come in during the week. You don't have anything to do.
Okay, yeah, but I was also trying to give her an excuse to get out of work, so it's win-win for her. Make these.
Think you can handle that all by your lonesome?
Probably, but you're welcome to help. Ooh, HP to party. Okay, that's something. That's something.
Look what we made.
I got a bonus berry.
Wanna make something?
I know that reference that Liz made, and I can't remember what it is.
No. I need to spend some of my gunpowder, apparently, so we're just gonna do this.
Don't screw up the order, okay? Ta-da! Your item is complete.
I think the US market is why medications need subsidized everywhere else anyway. I think that's our fault. I think we're the problem
I don't
there.
have all day.
It's a song she posted in the Discord. Enjoy your song, baby. You got it for a song. So she didn't react to Aramet. She always has like interactions. Maybe we gotta do this thing first. That's fine. I'm gonna check upstairs first, because checking the ship seems to pay dividends usually in terms of random character interactions. But no one is presently vibing, so I guess we are mandatorily gonna go to space. I am going to save because in my head, cutscenes mean games can crash. I don't think this one's crashed yet. Has this one crashed yet? It has been 43 hours. 44 hours. God. Oh, Raimi's a-working. We're hitting EN2 for sure this time, right? Probably. Is it EN or N? We will meet again someday. You're right, technically. You are not wrong. It's gonna happen from here. I don't know. Most annoying DeviantArt comment to get on your comments. Sure feels dead around here now that FaZe is gone, huh? No? Now I don't have as many people to sit around and snack on cookies. We literally 1-for-1 traded. What are you talking about? You don't have as many people. What, you think just because Aramat's a stuffy prick, he won't like cookies? Who doesn't like cookies? Cookies are great. Why are you allowed to have a chair? What are you gonna do? Are you just watching a screensaver? Like, of all people. We're not babysitting. We're gonna kill everything. Check this out. Boom! Short for something according to me, enormous number 2. It's just a big 2. Oh, if Aramat turns down cookies, he's not hot anymore. Reminds me, I need to eat those cookies. You make cookies, and the donuts are gone, which means I need to raid the Liz box. This gave me a box. I'm gonna eat Oreo cheesecake later. It's gonna be great. I should eat dinner first, but first we're gonna go to space! Not even a cutscene? You smell. That is... Look what's doing that planet behind it. Awesome. Love that for us. I thought it froze. I genuinely did. It's like, they're not moving. They're not moving.
Preparations for launch are complete. We can depart upon your order, Mr. Edge.
Please, Mr. Edge was my father.
All right, listen up, everyone. We can no longer deny that something's happening to our universe.
We were denying it?
We still have no idea exactly what is happening, nor what's in store for us in the days ahead.
Giant rocks are consuming everything.
But we may find the answer to those questions on EN2. And when we do, believe me, there won't be any turning back.
Wait, which one's Matt Mercer? Is Matt Mercer one of these, or is that just a joke?
As long as we're all
Matt Mercer
together,
is the,
we'll be just fine. Okay?
He's the famous
I know that.
If you're going Edge, so am I. And you too, right, Sarah?
Yes,
Oh, because Maddie?
I
No.
still haven't learned to fly yet. I'd be in a bit of trouble if you left me behind.
Do you think you can fly in space,
All
Sarah?
Lucian wanted was to bring peace to the galaxy. I'm going along with you.
Edge.
Because I want to, boy.
I'm somewhat disappointed you would even ask. We are friends, after all. I'm sure you know what my answer is.
My only aim is destroying the Grigori, but
It is Matt Mercer?
I'll stay until the rightful occupant of this seat returns.
Edge Maverick's voice is Matt Mercer.
What?
He's Matt Mercer.
Raimi, listen.
That's Matt
What I'm
Mercer.
about to do is probably... No.
2006 Matt Mercer.
Contrary to our original mission.
Or was it 2009? Somewhere in there.
At best, we'll be discharged from the SRF. At worst,
A crew's
Fuck 'em.
duty is with their captain.
I don't
We
know
all
Laura
believe
Bailey
in
offhand, but I'm
Edge.
sure she's something. This is when Square spent money on performances.
thanks.
It's just they've made fun of the voice acting so much in the chat, and like for the time, it's pretty good. It's like, yeah, they're famous. Oh!
Countess, engage!
I mean, Bacchus is pretty weird sometimes. Don't get me wrong. That's why Bacchus doing something awkward is on the bingo in the first place, you know what I mean? I didn't know it was Matt Mercer. That's awesome. Play that theme song, baby. It took us 40 hours to get to admitting there's a plot. Star Ocean 4. We'll get to it eventually. At least it's not Star Ocean 5, guys. I promise. You're grateful it's not 5. You're grateful any game and that's Star Ocean 5.
When the lad returns, I will vacate his seat.
I don't care about Phase at all, Kay.
How can you be a tsundere if you're like 5? I know you're not,
Not
but...
in the first place, Kay.
Lim, your face is telling a different story.
Yes, I agree. Like you're lonely and worried and having a hard time dealing with it.
Deal with it.
I'm not worried at all, Kay.
FaZe is going to be just fine. He's got Crow with him after all.
It's still funny after seeing him get blown up, probably.
I'm telling
I know
you,
I know
I'm
the truth,
not
but
worried, Kay.
Something wrong, Raimi?
What are you planning to do about our report to headquarters?
tell him to suck it.
Our report on Eos and the exploration base.
Everyone died trying to save the galaxy.
SRF
Money
mission
won't
still
exist
isn't
if
over,
Earth destroyed.
I have no idea if they'll believe us about the Grigori, but we won't be able to avoid mentioning Crow.
That's true. Crow's no longer...
His actions have clearly deviated from his SRF duties. There's no question he'll be called to account for them. I've been trying to figure out how to prepare this report for so long. My head's killing me.
It's gonna explode.
And I guess we'll have to tell them about Captain Grafton and the others.
Yeah.
Wee woo, wee woo.
High energy reaction incoming, directly ahead of us.
What? All hands, brace for...
Damn!
Oh dear! Yeah!
Status report!
The Calnus is hit. Damage minimal. Propulsion systems, all functions normal. We still have full control.
Prepare for retreat!
Roger.
Damn it! Who the hell is it?
I've detected 2 heat signatures from ships in our path. I'm putting them on the monitor.
Are those Phantom ships? The
Why
ones
this
that
just
attacked
makes me
the
wish they did
Eldarian
Skies of
refugee fleet?
Arcadia style space
You
fights.
don't think Crow...
He wouldn't allow himself to be killed so easily. These ships must be unrelated.
Second wave incoming.
I mean, it'd be more intimidating if you haven't seen other ships.
Reroute the weapon controls here.
Hey, I'm all for returning fire, but with the armaments on this ship, we won't stand a chance against them.
If we try to trade fire with them, we'll be shot down first.
Is that so? There's nothing I can do here.
I'm only good at pew
Hey,
pew.
this is no time to be kicking back, meow.
Third wave incoming. It's going to be a direct hit.
Too late. We can't evade it.
Raimi! Raise electromagnetic shields!
On it.
I feel like you should have done that earlier. We have these, by the way. Then we crash on Rogue again. We'll never go to EN2. Fuck you.
Electromagnetic shield strength down to 40%. Hull damage at 6% and rising.
Damn! They just don't stop, do they?
No.
Now what?
Another vessel is closing from behind. Registration unknown.
What? More of them?
Probably not.
Incoming fire from the unknown vessel.
Ship with weapons. Wish you had those. I should have got a pizza slice. Cutscene's long. Could have had pizza. Pizza and cutscene. I've made a mistake.
What just happened?
Did they save us?
Do you know them?
No. There are no Morphous ships of that design. If anything, that vessel actually looks more similar to...
We are not your enemy. Repeat, we are not your enemy. SRF-003 Calnus, please acknowledge.
Calnus? Do they know us? Acknowledged! This is SRF-003 Calnus with the USTA. This is Captain Edge Maverick speaking.
It's Space Kenny?
Got yourself into quite a little jam, huh?
No, I don't think so.
Huh? You're...
Oh, it is Kenny. I'm good at faces.
friend of yours?
No way. That's the commander of our moon base. And a hero on Earth.
The first man to travel faster than light, the pioneer of space exploration.
You sure it's not Neil Armstrong?
Kenny.
Okay, whatever.
There was a time they used to call me that, yes. No, I'm just one of the suits. This is USTA Moonbase Commander Stephen D. Kenny. I am here on USTA orders.
You're under arrest, bitch.
Allow us to more properly introduce ourselves, sir. I am Edge Maverick, captain of SRF-003 Calnus.
I'm First Officer Raimi Sionji, sir.
I'm Lim, Kate.
You must have the giggle music.
Here?
Get your giggle on.
Hello there. My name is Sarah Durand. I'm a feather folk who can't fly.
Miss Sarah, come here.
Oh dear.
Get the children out, please.
It seems you have a rather unique crew, don't you?
Yeah, we get that a lot.
Yes, sir. They're my friends, and I'm very proud of them.
Edge, are you sure about this? They're all...
The captain of a ship has full authority over all personnel issues, even if those personnel happen to be extraterrestrials.
Then, the USTA is aware of the existence of extraterrestrials after all, sir?
Didn't we establish that really early?
Yes, though our only direct contact has been with the Eldarians. Mr. Gagan was a true gentleman, very intelligent.
Have you met Commander Gagan, sir?
Yes, a short while ago, in orbit around Mars. He had a fleet of Eldarian ships with him.
I see. So the refugee fleet managed to escape.
So you knew?
Huh?
No, never mind. First of all, I'd like to have the report from your mission.
Oh, it's fucked.
Tell me, what did your investigations on planet Eos reveal?
Bug, space rock.
I know. Let's tell the commander everything.
Everything.
About Crow?
I'm just going to tell him the truth. He'll have to understand. And besides, Crow hasn't done anything wrong.
All right.
I hereby issue my report, sir. What we experienced, what we learned, everything.
And we will not be fading to black.
That concludes
Can
my
you
report,
imagine?
sir. It may be difficult to believe, but everything...
Everything you say is true, correct?
Huh?
I don't have any reason to doubt what you say. You did well, Mr. Maverick. Coming through all those experiences without breaking under them, you did very well indeed.
Ya baby-faced
Yes,
little
sir.
man.
Thank you very much.
Unfortunately, that makes the message I must relate to you that much more difficult.
Huh?
I was joking about being under arrest.
Following the appearance of Gagan's fleet, more and more Eldarian refugee ships came to our solar system. The Eldarians issued Earth and its people an indictment. They said their home planet had been destroyed by Earthlings.
What?
But why would the Eldarians accuse Earth of...
Because of what they witnessed firsthand. Wave after wave of black SRF ships mercilessly gunning down their refugee fleet.
But those were...
Phantom ships, you would argue? I can certainly believe that. But can you really ask the Eldarians, who lost their beloved homeworld and now wander as vagrants, to believe it as well? It's only natural they would hate what they saw with their own eyes. The SRF. In other words, Earth. Mr. Gagan did come to our defense, but it was for naught. All the Eldarians' hate and anger is focused on us. How dare we use the technology they themselves provided for such ungrateful, shameless acts, they ask. Their indictment could prove to be fatal for Earth and all who live upon it. I trust, of course, that you understand why that is.
I do, sir. As we now know, we and the Eldarians are just two of many races living in our galaxy. If this incident were to become widely known, some of those races would certainly view us as a threat. Even if this did all arise from a mere misunderstanding.
We've only just taken our first steps into space. It would present a danger to Earth beyond all imagination. So the USTA was left with no other choice but to offer the Eldarians and the government of Earth this justification. That is a factual impossibility. No vessels of that sort, nor any organizations that might command such vessels, have ever existed on planet Earth.
You've been exiled, bitch.
Commander, does that mean...
The SRF has been dismantled, along with any evidence it ever existed. We're well aware this is nothing more than a charade, but we have no other options to come to terms with the Eldarians. Earth will support the Eldarian emigration without compensation. We cannot allow a non-existent organization to disturb that balance. And so, that's why I'm here. I have come to you in order to bring a bit more realism to that charade.
Commander, surely you...
All hands, abandon ship immediately. Once you are safely aboard this cruiser, the Calnus will be destroyed. Two of the original SRF vessels still remain. One of them is SRF-003 Calnus. No such ship exists anywhere in our universe. We cannot permit even the faintest trace of the SRF or its activities to remain. Yes, we must wipe the slate clean of everything.
And that will definitely get rid of the problem forever.
Wipe the slate clean? After we dreamt of going into space for so long? After so many SRF men had those dreams cut short? After all the places this ship has taken us? After all the hardship my friends and I overcame together? You want us to pretend none of it ever happened? That is something I cannot do, sir. I cannot turn my back on this path we've walked step by painful step. Not after all we've been through.
Mr. Maverick, do you fully comprehend the implications of what you're saying? The SRF no longer exists. As such, you are now a complete outsider. The USTA will not be able to grant you its protection. You won't be able to return to Earth. Indeed, you may not be able to find asylum anywhere. You'll be branded a traitor.
A traitor? Even that would be preferable.
Yes, we're betraying the world by trying to save it.
I've made my decision, sir. Together with my friends, my allies, I'm going to stand up against this and fight! I realize it's sheer audacity, sir. But because I believe it's what I must do, I'm going to keep moving forward. If the alternative means giving up, I'd rather be branded a traitor.
Stand up against the universe, huh? Quite a bold declaration, son. You'll no longer exist. Is that really something you can deal with?
It is a decision he actively made earlier. He was willing to not exist to save a different Earth. Stupid question.
There was a time when Edge was so full of regret and worry he stopped moving completely. But even so, he's managed to overcome every adversity and continue moving forward.
I was thinking about not moving. I was turning to stone.
Edgy doesn't lie, Kay. So, I I know he'll fix everything somehow.
I found myself drawn to the heat of Mr. Edge's passion and soul.
Weird.
I will stay by his side for as long as I can feel that warmth.
Weird.
Edge can do it.
BT
I know he
Caucus.
can. So I just feel like this is where I'm supposed to be. Meow.
Meow, man. Meow.
Well, when I'm with Edge, you see, I get this amazing feeling like I can fly just about anywhere.
I want to kiss
The boy might still be a little wet behind the ears, but he's got all of us to take care of him, so...
Never understood that phrase, but alright.
I suppose even capriciousness has its virtues.
One day, Arabat, I will get a dictionary and understand how you're insulting me.
I'm going to move forward, with my friends, for what we must do. And for the memory of those who died with their dreams unfulfilled. Even if a hero such as yourself stands in my way, Commander Kenny, I will not give up.
I see. The fact that you've overcome such formidable obstacles, gained so many companions in vast and unknown space. It's impressive.
And they blow it up.
So go.
Commander.
5
Go
seconds.
forth. And do what you must.
Yeah, I thought maybe, but that's like... How long does the water stay? The Tism insisted that could not be it. Zoom! Shields up the whole time, I see.
Dismantle the SRF? Don't you think that's rather short-sighted?
Watch your tongue,
It's your favorite person, Spritz.
Or do you presume to think your heroic reputation carries more weight than my rank?
Seriously. Excuse my impertinence, Deputy Director Shimada.
Was it on multiple discs on Xbox?
The USTA has reached its consensus. This is no matter for a mere moon-base commander to meddle in.
Well said, sir.
Your job is to simply carry out the orders I require of you.
Like how they even managed to get this dude crazy eyes.
Light speed, Kenny. Hmm?
Yeah.
But sir, there's still a chance we can reach an agreement with the Eldarians. Mr. Gagan was quite amicable toward the SRF on Eos. If we ask him to intervene for us...
A little late for that, don't you think?
It sure is.
Any more friction with the Eldarians will only make my position worse.
Very well put.
I won't be thrown to a kangaroo court so close to elections.
Seriously.
It goes without saying.
Shut
The
up.
men of the SRF burn with a desire to explore outer space. What will become of their passion, their dreams?
And give it
And
back.
more
More
importantly,
chocolate.
sir, what are your thoughts on the future of mankind? The environmental degradation of Earth isn't going to stop. Mankind's
You like
only
our
hope for
high-texture moon,
survival
by the
is
way.
in space.
My future is far more important right now. Why do all you ignobles want to make my life so difficult?
I don't know, you cartoon villain.
Can't you understand that there won't be any future if Earth is destroyed?
It's not as if the Earth is going to blow up tomorrow. This current matter is absolutely crucial for me. The SRF was a joke anyway. Romantic talk of passion and dreams without results disgusts me.
Absolutely despicable.
And how? I suppose I must agree, Deputy Director. Quite disgusting, compared to the passionate, dream-filled, noble idea of using successful space exploration to further one's political career.
Is that all you have to say? then be off on your mission already. I can't imagine a hero of your standing will have much trouble shooting down such a lightly armed ship.
Just kill that kid. I'm a good person. Did they have to add the 3 yes men? He was annoying without 3 yes men. Why do we now have 3 yes men?
What are you thinking, Commander?
I should go kill a man with my bare
I'm
hands.
just thinking that I must be getting old. I'm astounded at how meekly I complied with such an absurd order.
If an officer ignores his superior's orders, his own subordinates will not respect him.
Very true. And nonetheless, as you plainly saw, I let them go on their way. Well then, Hines, how are we going to report this?
Stuff it?
Well, what exactly is there to report, sir? We've yet to encounter any SRF ships, after all. Besides, the original order had a critical flaw. There's no such body as the SRF. How can a non-existent organization command ships? That's clearly impossible.
Oh, I like this guy.
And yet, Deputy Director Shimada issued an order to destroy these fictional vessels. Really, sir, what was he thinking?
He was thinking there was chocolate on his fucking trousers.
Now, that's a charade. But, well, I suppose we can call it even now.
He was like, there'll never be anyone as ridiculous as me. I'm a cartoon villain. Donald Trump walks in the room. No! Oh my gosh! You should rest yourself for the time being, Mr. Edge. Okay. It has been over 3 hours. I should really eat dinner. Probably. Right? That would make sense. Then we'll have to make our choices next time on who we spend our limited time with. That's fine. Something to look forward to. Let's save our game. Story moved. We fought a boss. We had a guy come in and tell us, hey, have you tried actually doing the main mechanic against the boss? And I went, you know what? I hadn't thought of that. It did not occur to me, actually. I'm so smart. Oh my gosh. Okay. I don't want the be right back screen. I want the normal cave screen. Put me in the normal cave. Boom, normal cave. Oh, it's so wet in here. Oh. It's fun though. It's nice to touch it. I am just hungry. I'm gonna go eat. It'll be great. I think tomorrow will be a normal day. I think we're gonna be on Pixel doing probably gonna start the bunny commissions. That makes sense because of the deadlines and it's out with you. I should do at least one of those. One of them, the first one's just a colored like drawing. It shouldn't be anything. One session, fine. The next couple skebs include the lanolin thing, and I forget what else off the top of my head. I think it's the Slime Cat guy. It's not Spritz. Competition for Slime Cat status. Sorry, bud. Yes. And Friday's early night, maybe, or I can never remember. We'll figure it out.
Friday night. I am writing.
Friday night, you're writing, so I cannot stream Friday night. Starting what time? Midnight-ish. Okay, so I can do something. We can maybe play a game Friday or something. I still got a pile of Next Fest demos I gotta get to too. So we always got that. Spritz like that. I don't know if anyone else like that. I am open to input. Always open to input. As ever, there is the Discord. There is the Blue Sky. There's ways to give me input. Do I link to Discord on Twitch? Does it actually show on my Twitch? Let me look. I don't know if I actually linked to the Discord. I know I did on the Pixel. I know I linked Pixel on Twitch. Like, hey, if you want to see titties, go over there. Yeah, I got a community Discord link. So, you know, in case anyone follows and wants to, like, chat with us offline, there's an option. I promise we're usually kind of cool. And unhinged. Like, in a fun way. Oh, I keep forgetting I have this. Check this out. Bam. I set up a credits widget. Yo, credits. New follower, Wombat. Moderators, that's all we got this time. But in theory, that can grow. Now, I didn't see a way to tie that to my Patreon. And that makes me, well, I turned off the wrong thing and I don't exist anymore. Hi. In theory, that would make the credits nicer because I have the KTC and I want to thank the KTC properly, but I don't see a way to manually edit the credits. So I don't know. I might have to come up with something else. We'll see. That's just a Streamlabs widget. It's underwhelming in its potency. I died briefly. Yes, I died and I came back wrong. I came back different. Ugh. Also, I think I took down all the Easter eggs. I might have left one that I forgot about somewhere. I don't think I did. I don't see one. Okay. I think we're okay. It's not Easter anymore. So, yay. Why is viewer count going up when I'm just hanging out? Now people show? Okay, hello. Okay. Slowly, we climb towards maybe having 10 people at once. Wouldn't that be amazing? Also, Lizzie, if you want to stream Monday, we figure out what we're doing. I am not against Phasmo. I think we might need a break from the Sarah Dies Parade. I am upset at the Sarah Dies Parade. We'll figure that out later. But yes, tomorrow, Pixel, there's a link down there. I am 99% sure. I literally just looked and already forgot. Let me double check before I try to make this followable for people. I wish I could just stream one place, but alas, because of what I do. Stalk me online from my website, Patreon, order comes. I actually don't link to the Pixel down there. Wow. Lethal Company of a Lethal Company. I hope it stutters like that. We should play that then. Okay, I'm down. I am down. I know we're like one round of Phaz out from just both having the fucking the badge thing done. But I'm also like not against just knocking that out after dinner real quick. But I want to eat and I gotta pee. So I'm gonna call it for now. Pixel TV / Ketiers. You can also find it through my Blue Sky, or I link to it all the time. Liz now links to the stream. She's followed by stream announcement channel on her Discord, which is cool because I'm not allowed to post that channel, or I would have. I don't know what changed. Yeah. I will see you all there or here. Maybe Friday here. Weekend, I'm playing it by ear. I have a lot to do, random stuff. Maybe we can do a dev stream Friday. It's been a while. I keep wanting to do that. I have modeling I can show up. I'm doing all sorts of crap. I'm rambling. Okay. Last call for the bingo. Last call for the bingo before I hit offline. Did I close the window? I'm stupid. There it is. Okay. I'm gonna join the game. No one can stop me. I never got a bingo. I never got a bingo, but you know what? You know what? If you have your bingo cards up, you're gonna have a chance for a race. Okay, we're gonna do a race. Are you ready? We're gonna do 1 random event. 2 random event. Did I really not say okie dokie the whole time? You gotta call me out on that crap. I had to have. Game over. That actually didn't happen. Probably thanks to Wombat. And 1 more random event. This is your chance. If you have a bingo, call the bingo. I had a bingo. Wow, look at that. Okay. And now, I'm going to call all events and end the stream. Are you ready? Boom. Good luck. You're racing to call it. Have a lovely evening. I'll see you all later. Thanks for joining me. Good night. And don't forget, a sploosh.